All right. I understand. I'll call you back. Hey, Maria. Have a seat. I need to talk to you. Maria, my mother's helper is sick. Would you mind going to her house to help her out for a few days? Oh, don't worry. Listen, I'll give you a bonus for more work. Come on, what do you think?
Mr. Chan, it's illegal for me to do unauthorized work or to work for another household.
Well, I know it's illegal for you to work at my shop, but it's my mom's house, and you'll be doing domestic work. What's the problem?
Because according to my contract, I can only work at this residence. I'm very sorry, Mr. Chan.
What? Really?
Well, Maria knows better than Mr. Chan. Mr. Chan doesn't seem to be aware of his obligations under the Standard Employment Contract for Foreign Domestic Helpers. As stipulated in the contract, helpers can only live and work at their employer's residence and carry out domestic duties. They cannot work at the shops or homes of relatives and friends of their employers, even if no money is involved for those services. Remember that it is an offense to employ another person's foreign domestic helper, whether full-time or part-time. The maximum fine is $350,000 and 3 years imprisonment. To report illegal employment of foreign domestic helpers, call the Immigration Department.
So can Maria work part-time on her days off? I don't have a problem with that.
Whether you mind is not the issue. Such activities are illegal. Helpers' work duties form part of their conditions of stay and are governed by the Immigration Ordinance. A helper can only perform domestic duties at the residence of the employer as specified in the contract.
Hi, Maria.
Mr. Chan, I won't be doing any work today.
What? Why not?
According to the Employment Ordinance, an employer must pay wages on time. Payment must be made within 7 days after the end of the wage period. And today is the 7th day, but you still haven't paid me yet, sir.
I've just transferred your salary to your account this morning. If you update your bank book, then you can sign the receipt.
Oh.
Like all local employees, foreign domestic helpers should be paid their wages within 7 days after the end of the wage period. Employers should pay the full wage as stated in the Standard Employment Contract. They should not make a private deal with the helpers to pay less than the minimum allowable wage. This is considered an underpayment of wages and is against the law. If an employer fails to pay the wages on time or underpays wages willfully and without a reasonable excuse, he or she is liable upon conviction to a maximum fine of $350,000 and 3 years imprisonment. To avoid disputes, employers should work out the payment method with their helpers, for example, through bank transfer or by cash. They should also ask the helpers to sign receipts for the amounts paid and keep proper records of these transactions.
Can I pay more than the minimum allowable wage? I'm impressed with her work and would like to pay her more.
The minimum allowable wage is only a standard for the lowest wage to be paid. Employers are, of course, free to pay more, and they can state this in the Standard Employment Contract.
The government has revised the minimum allowable wage. It differs from the amount in my helper's contract, so how much should I pay?
You should follow the contract. And during the contract period, even if the government has revised the minimum allowable wage, the employer is required to pay the amount of wages stated on the contract.
Bye, Mrs. Chan.
Take care, Maria.
What's going on? Mrs. Chan, is Maria leaving?
That's right.
But Maria's an excellent helper. Why'd you fire her? Maria, don't you worry. It's all right. I'll hire you. Everything will be fine. Oh, no. Mrs. Chan hasn't fired me.
She's completed her contract and is taking her home leave for 7 days.
Oh, right, I understand. But why are you crying? I'm not crying. I just got dust in my eyes.
When renewing a contract, the employer should provide the helper free passage to the helper's place of origin for no less than 7 days vacation between the expiry of the existing contract and the start of the new contract. The employer should also provide food and traveling allowance as appropriate. If an employer wants to terminate the contract, he should give 1 month's notice in writing or pay 1 month's wages in lieu of notice to the helper. No matter whether the contract is terminated or expires without renewal, the employer should clear all outstanding wages and any annual leave owed to the helper, as well as provide the helper with free passage, food, and traveling allowance. The employer should also pay long service or severance payments to which the helper is entitled. All payments should be made clearly, and receipts should be kept for records. And finally, the employer should also notify the Immigration Department of the date of termination in writing within 7 days of its occurrence.
Maria used up her paid annual leave during her contract period. Should I still give her a vacation back to her home country when her contract expires? Is that something that I'm still obliged to do?
Yes, it is, unless an extension of stay has been granted by the Director of Immigration to defer the home leave. All employers must give their helpers a vacation in their home country of not less than 7 days between the expiry of the existing contract and the start of the new contract. This leave can be either paid or unpaid as long as it's agreed by both parties. This one has a good CV. She's worked in Hong Kong and speaks Cantonese.
How about this one? Yeah, this one here looks like she's very strong. She should be good at domestic duties. Any others that look good?
This one's got 3 kids. She'll be a good babysitter.
But she's changed jobs 3 times.
Maybe not her then. Choosing a suitable foreign domestic helper is no easy task. When an employer looks for a helper through an agency, he or she should pay attention to these points. Before signing any agreement with an employment agency, the employer should read all the terms carefully, including, for example, the question of who is going to pay the visa fee. Employers should also keep all receipts. Employers should not deduct wages of their helpers to pay employment agency fees. This is unlawful deduction of wages and will make the employer liable to prosecution. If an employer isn't satisfied with the services of an employment agency, he can complain to the Consumer Council or make a claim through civil proceedings. If an employment agency acts illegally, such as overcharging the helper's commission, the employer may assist the helper by launching a complaint to the Labor Department.
An employment agency told me that my helper owed them their commission, and they wanted me to collect it on their behalf, but my helper said this wasn't the case. What should I do?
You shouldn't deduct wages from your helper to pay the agency, as that would be against the law. Instead, you should ask your helper to deal with the employment agency directly and try to resolve the matter that way.
If somebody tells me that my helper owes them money, should I pay the debt for her?
If you are harassed by lending institutions regarding your helper's debts, you should contact the police for assistance.